Hi, this is Dustin.
You couldn't resist. You had to do your drunk Christopher Walken impression.
It was still in the back of the throat.
I'm Steve. This is the Wedding Photo Hangover podcast, the finest phototainment in the world. We are an irreverent look at photography. Thank you all so much for joining us this week when we give thanks, because it is a very special Thanksgiving episode. Dustin,
It's like I can
we're
almost
gonna
smell the turkey.
Yeah, I can almost smell the turkey. Do you have big plans for Thanksgiving this year?
This year's a little weird. It's a little different. So we got a lot of family on my stepmother's side flying in from Texas, and so my stepmom is hosting Thanksgiving, which normally she does Christmas, and I think we've all convinced her not to cook. Mm-hmm. And so she's actually ordered food from somewhere. And having Thanksgiving catered in, which at first I was like really kind of like, oh, this is weird. This is like so like bougie and like non-traditional. And the more I thought about it, I was like, you know what? Like on the holidays,
it's like traditional now.
Yeah, I'm like on the holidays, she's like so stressed and like she doesn't get to enjoy it because, and then same for everyone else. Like everyone else is like, oh, I got to wake up at like 5 a.m. to like make a sweet potato pie or whatever. And so like this year it's like everything's coming from somewhere. I don't even know where. And we just kind of like put in our requests for like a dish that we would like. And
dude,
so
that sounds like the dream.
Yeah. So the more I thought about it, I was like, I didn't even know this was a thing, but apparently I've talked to a lot of people and like, this is a thing. Like there's like all kinds of restaurants and like catering places that will like, you pay like a reserve thing and you pay a fee. And then like the day before, the day of, like you come and pick it all up and you just pop it in the oven and warm it all up or like cook it or whatever. Yeah. And I'm like super jazzed. Like hopefully it's all going to be amazing. But I think she got it all from Cracker Barrel, so it should be great.
Cracker Barrel's great, so
yeah. The shirt right here, Cracker Barrel.
No, that sounds amazing, man. How
about you? What do you got cooking for Turkey Day?
So it's been weird, dude. So hey, do you remember how I told you I couldn't shoot that wedding with you this weekend because we had other plans when you asked me? Because I was going to visit my brother for.
It would have been clutch to have you though. Would have been clutch.
Yeah. So the night before we were supposed to go up there, I did get a call just letting me know that there was somebody who's going to be there whose spouse or not spouse. Who had been living with somebody who tested positive for COVID, and there was no way for them to not show up. And they had taken a test and tested negative for COVID, but it was also like a day after the other person had tested positive for COVID. So I ended up not going.
Oh,
so I could have shot that wedding. But I didn't find out until like the night before. And
that's fine. I would have still taken you.
Wait, did you have somebody? Who'd you shoot with?
Well, I had somebody, but I didn't have somebody. I had somebody, and then he ended up booking his own wedding.
Wait,
and so
what?
He sent his wife, which was fine. She was great. Like they're a husband-wife team, so it's not like she hasn't shot video. But I had never shot with her. And so my confidence in her was not great because I've shot with him a bunch of times.
Was it Luke? Tell me, was it Luke?
Luke had his own wedding that day.
That he booked after telling you he could second shoot.
No, actually it was the opposite. I was supposed to second shoot with Luke, and then I booked this wedding.
So somebody did the same thing to you that you did to Luke?
Yeah, it was karmic justice.
I love it. You deserve that. You deserve it so much.
But no, and I was planning on finding a third shooter anyways. And in this wedding, we'll talk about it at a later episode, was just awful. So, yeah. But yeah, Turkey Day, thankfulness, greatness, gratefulness.
So anyway, not seeing my family this weekend as a result of that, but we are going to see them next week because they're all vaccinated. The big thing is Ian and Nora can get vaccinated now, and the earliest we could schedule them to get their vaccines is Tuesday of this week. So we really didn't want to risk them getting COVID, because if you get COVID, you're not allowed to get the vaccine until you're negative for COVID. So that's why we ended up not going.
Nice.
It just felt too risky, especially when we're so close to the two older kids being vaccinated.
Yeah, Charlie
So
was eligible to get it on Thursday, I think, Thursday or Friday of last week. And we were just like, no, because we were going out of town, and we didn't want like a babysitter grandparent situation to, like, if there were any side effects or anything, we just didn't want to not be there for her. So that's after we get through Thanksgiving. That's the plan, is to figure that out.
Yeah. So for like the Thanksgiving week, our plans are still a little bit undecided. So we want to see Jen's family, but we also want to see my family.
I thought you were going to say, but we also don't. But we also don't want to see them.
No, we want to see everybody. But the thing is, we know that there's going to be people in the extended families who we are uncertain of whether or not they've had flu vaccines, which for the newborn is more important than the COVID vaccine. So we're trying to make it to Thanksgivings so we can see immediate family without having to take the additional risk of seeing extended family. So it means kind of like planning things so we show up like before they do the extended family stuff.
Interesting.
So it's going to be interesting. But like the last 4 or 5 years, Jen and I have done. Okay, I'm just going to put my cards on the table here. Ever since Trump was elected president, Jen and I have elected to stay home for Thanksgiving instead of doing Thanksgiving with the extended family anyway. So we have, for the last 4 years now, been making our own Thanksgiving dinner instead of relying on parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles to do that for us. So one thing I have discovered about myself this last year, I really like cooking food, and I really, really enjoy like the process of like making things. And I kind of came to the realization that I would rather stay home and like do the turkey stuffing, mashed potatoes, sweet potato casserole,
Sweet potato
cranberry
casserole.
sauce.
Oh, so good.
I would rather stay home and do all that on my own because I actually enjoy doing that stuff, which is something 20 years ago, 10 years ago even, I never would have thought that I would say. But like the last 4 years of cooking, and then like during COVID doing a lot more cooking, it's my happy place, man. Like I feel so much happier if like I wake up in the morning and like cook breakfast for like Jen and I than if I like just wake up in the morning and have a bowl of cereal or something like that. And I feel better if I, make dinner as well. Like just there's something about cooking that's just really soothing and relaxing for me.
Why is it whenever I come to visit then that you're like, let's go to Brewburger or let's go to XYZ?
Oh, because
Apparently,
the food that I like
I'm not
making,
a part of your happy place.
You're not. The food that I like making, Rustin, is all food that I believe you referred to as being not good. It's all. Remember when we went to Sierra Leone and we were going to eat food there, and you were like, I don't think I will like that food there because, quote, it's too spicy and it's all just sauce on rice. Those are the sorts of foods I like to make are spicy foods and
which is
sauce
just
on rice.
Sauce on rice. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Throw some protein in that curry or whatever. It's good stuff. No, I made etouffee yesterday. Oh gosh, I love it. Which is Cajun sauce on rice.
Someday you and Jennifer will have to come to Fort Wayne and we will take you out for dinner.
Where? Can't we do that in Indy instead?
We could. There's definitely way more better places in Indy than there are here. That's like the perk
Yeah.
of coming to Indy is like, oh, where are we going to go eat?
So, Dustin, every year for our Thanksgiving episode, we like to talk about the things that we are thankful for.
Mm.
So, Dustin, hit me up. What's number one on your list? What are you most thankful for this year?
Oh, this year I would definitely have to say my wife. She has just been uh, a rock of a person, superhero, if you will. Um, we have, like most photographers that are listening to this, um, this year has just been insane, which scares me because they're predicting next year is going to be even more insane, as far as how busy and like how I think the uptick in how much people value photography has gone up.
Hmm.
And so the amount of requests we are getting for not only weddings, but family, seniors, things that we would like a little bit of request for. It's not something we advertise for, but we're just getting like hammered. And then coming out of COVID, where we're like, oh, we're just not sure what the future has in store. We're like, let's just take everything that comes our way. So this year has just been insane. And my wife has just like rolled with it and just like taken care of the kids and just been like this like super mom to our children. And just the other day, we were headed to Indianapolis for like a date day thing. And
Hmm.
she was like relaying like all the stuff over the phone to our babysitter of like all the things that the kids like that they needed to know about the kids. And I was like, oh my gosh, like there's so much you have to keep straight about like school and scheduling and like outfits and like activities. And I'm just like so glad that I have her to handle
Hmm.
them, so that all I have to do is be that person who rolls in and like, hey, who wants to play? But yeah, that's who I'd say number one on my list. Definitely the old ball and chain, WIFE, because we're doing a
Oh,
lot
I
of
hate
spell.
hearing you refer to your wife as the ball and chain. Wow, I cannot tell you how much I hate that. But whatever cute pet names you guys have for each other, what does she call you?
We're really into bondage.
The
That's
nutsack
sort
and
of
dong.
the old nutsack and dung, the old macadamia nut cookie, the old hot dog between my buns. Something like that, I think.
I think that's one of them we needed to know.
The old corn dog on a stick. No, maybe.
Yeah, no, sounds great. I love it. All of it.
The old
Yum.
man, I should have signed the prenup before marrying. Oh, but what's Steve? What are you? So I think we do like a top three. So number one, Steven Van Elk, great Indiana man. What are you thankful for this Thanksgiving?
I mean, definitely 100% Jen is the thing I'm most thankful for. She's been amazing. We had a kid recently.
Did you?
but- yeah, you might have picked that up, like on the socials. But Jen has been amazing. We had the Adelaide was born. It's like 2.5, 3 weeks early. Um, and yeah, it was not
I was
expected.
your birth coach, so I was there.
Yeah.
Classic.
And Jen was amazing through it all. She actually, as she was going into labor, I was shooting a wedding that day, and Jen put out some calls from the hospital to some of her friends to find somebody to replace me, um, because I was, I was shooting. And so she kind of knew because she was having like an emergency induction and stuff because she was having some issues with things, and it was safer for them to induce her early than it was for her to stay pregnant, basically. And
And this was
so
shortly after you and I shot that corporate thing where she like texted me in the middle of this corporate shoot and was like, and Steve was helping out on the shoot. And she was like, hey, if you could just have Steve call me whenever is convenient. I'm going to the hospital to see my doctor. It might be induced, might not be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
No,
I'm
it's the
like,
same week.
yeah, I know. It was like a few days later, and I'm like, holy shit! Like that, like this could have happened like at the shoot. And Steve's like, calls her, comes back to the shoot, and he's just like, all right, let's keep going. And I'm like,
Yeah.
do you need to leave? He's like, no, we're good.
Yeah. Yeah. She felt really bad about having me have to stop in the
This
middle
is
of the
just
shoot.
how amazing Steve's wife is
It
compared
really
to
is.
Steve.
Hey, come
Like
on.
if the roles had been reversed and Jen had been helping me out on this shoot and Steve was like, I have a hangnail. I think I'm going to the hospital. Jen, you need to get your ass out of that shoot and come meet me at the hospital.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Jen has a much higher pain tolerance than I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, she's been fantastic. And like, we had a whole plan. We're going to ship all of our edits off to Freedom Edits. And I was not able to get things cold fast enough to get them shipped off to Freedom Edits. And so I was like, oh, no big deal. I'll just, I wasn't able to get them cold fast enough to ship them off to Freedom Edits and then have them to our clients in the amount of time. And I was like, not a big deal. I'll just contact the clients and let them know that it's going to be a little bit longer. And Jen was like, nah, I can do it. So Jen just edited like these weddings. Yeah, so she's been amazing, and I don't think I thank her enough on like a daily basis. I think I should be thanking her a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
And also, yeah, I'm kind of shit, aren't I? Sorry, babe. If you're listening, Jen, I'm so sorry. I'm so shit as a husband.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Dustin, what's your number two?
Number two, I would have to say is probably our clients. Our clients have just been amazing for the most part this year. We've just had I don't know, like just the most amazing couples, and not even this year, like going into next year, like the engagement sessions we've had of late. I don't know, like we're just so blessed. Next year will be the 15th year shooting weddings for us, or for me personally. Wife got into it a little bit later. She married in. Um, and I was just so grateful that like our couples have stuck with us, that they're still putting up with us. And like, I mean, we have done zero work. Like our website's the same website we've had for like a long time. Um, I'm not really tweaking our editing very much. Like it's pretty much been the same for the last 4 or 5 years. Um, and like the couples still like it and still book us. So we will have done 37 weddings, I believe, give or take, this year.
Nice.
And we're just so grateful that like they trust us to give us all of this money to document this like most special day to them. And we're just really grateful because it helped me buy a Tesla. And you know that without that, it just really wouldn't be worth it, you know? And feed my 3 children, pay the doctor student loans for my wife that she doesn't use, and all of that. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I always love it when you pull up to an engagement session in a Tesla and the couple's like, whoa. And I'm like, thanks.
And they're like, no wonder you're so expensive.
And they're like, yeah. Didn't want to have to pay for gas. But yeah, Steve, what about you? So you got your wife, the rock of the Van Elk family, that you are so lucky. I mean, if you guys follow Steve on the social and you've seen his most recent family photo, it's like you've got these beautiful children, you have this wife who looks like a supermodel, and then you've got like this Steven fella in the background. Like, how did this all come to be? And then what's number two?
Number 2 is you, of course, Dustin.
Oh, Steven.
Oh, hell no. Number 2, of course, is the listeners, because they want a host who actually cares about them, and I'm
Right.
that host. It's definitely not
100%.
Dustin. As we saw,
Absolutely.
all Dustin cares about is getting that money. But I'm
mean,
here.
the
I'm just
listeners
thankful
want to
that we
get
have
me a Tesla.
listeners who want to tune in and hear our sweet voices every single week. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Our listeners
Every
are the
single
best.
week. Every single week.
Every single week. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, I imagine if we miss a week, they go back and they just listen to old episodes.
Oh, I mean,
So
that's
they
what
feel
I
comfortable
do.
and at home. Yeah.
That's what I do. That's why you've rubbed off on me on
Yeah.
some of these most recent episodes.
Yeah, I actually have an edit of every single episode
Of
that
you rubbing
just
off?
strips it strips my voice out so I can just rub off to your voice. And that's how I fall asleep every night. After a good rub off to your voice.
There's many subreddits with fandoms doing the same thing.
Oh, Dustin, what's your third thing you're thankful for?
The third thing, Steven, is most certainly I'm thankful for you. Thankful for you being alive. Thankful for you pushing this podcast forward with me. Thankful for your friendship. I'm thankful for you giving your life nearly in Chicago. Thankful for you always being down to talk through my insane therapy sessions on a Tuesday afternoon, and essentially saving me the money of needing therapy by having this podcast really in general. But yeah, I'm just thankful to have you in my life, Steven.
Well, that makes one of us.
That's a very one-sided relationship. I realize that. You're in this podcast for the fame. I'm in it just for an excuse to talk to you.
Yeah. That accurately sums it up.
Half the time I'll be like, oh gosh, I can't believe what happened at this wedding or this shoot. I need to call Steven and tell him about it. And I'm like, he's going to tell me, don't call me, Dustin. Save it for the podcast. And so I have to bottle half my shit up and just wait to record with Steven.
And if we miss a week, it's like you're just going to explode.
I end up murdering someone, like the show You on Netflix.
Sometimes you call my phone just to hear my voice on the voicemail saying, hey, this is Steve, leave me a message. And then
which most
when I jump on, it's just you going, oh gosh, I needed that so bad.
Which, if any of the listeners ever call Steven's voicemail, which I highly encourage you all do, he actually in real life has a very high pitched voice. He's more of an alto, almost even soprano some days. Whereas like the filters he uses with his level fancy Rode podcasting system he's got in the mics, it really takes him down to a baritone. But if you could hear the real Steven Van Elk, he talks like hasn't quite hit puberty yet. I'm a real boy with gumdrop
100%.
buttons. And I think you would really enjoy that. You should all give him a call. We'll drop his phone number in the show notes for you.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So Steve, number 3. So you got your listeners, your wife. Number 3, Steve. What are you?
It's my phone number, which is 420-420-6969. You can all hit me up there any day, anytime.
That's an international number too, so don't worry about long distance calls. Anyone can
don't
call
worry about it. Yeah. And the third thing I'm thankful for is thanks for listening to another episode of the Wedding Photo Hangover podcast. Oh yeah, cutting it short. Yeah. Sorry, Dustin, you took up all the time.
That's all right.
Just don't have time. No, the third thing I'm thankful for is, oh gosh, this is going to sound so
Josh
lame.
Withers for sending you a microphone.
I'm thankful for iMessage. This last year, ever since the pandemic hit, it's been really hard to communicate with anybody. And I have I've had a number of friendships that have really blossomed and grown during this time with people who do not live in Indiana or in Indianapolis, like my area at all. Dustin, there's always been you, and there always will be you. You're my number one. But I've got friends all over the world now, and
I don't.
iMessage has been great. iMessage has been great just for being able to keep in contact with them and sending them messages, talking, through things. If I have a shitty day, being able to send a message to aforementioned Josh Withers that you brought up, and Morgan Roberts, two people who have been guests on this podcast who we have like a group chat, and just being able to send them something and be like, hey man, guys, today has been really shitty, and here's why. This is what this terrible client / friend named Dustin did to me today.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So I cannot say how thankful I am just to be able to be in contact with people who don't live in my near vicinity, especially because like today, people in my vicinity were in my neighborhood were posting to Facebook talking about how they were upset a teenager was driving their car too fast in the neighborhood. And they were saying things like, this child is a piece of shit and their parents need to control their children. And also saying things like they wanted to drag a minor out of their car to beat them for driving too fast in the neighborhood. And I just realized I don't get along with people in my neighborhood very well. And because not everyone, but the people who are most vocal, I would say, in like the neighborhood are people who say things like that. And yeah, I just I'm really thankful that I don't have to be contained to where I live for friendship and for good times.
For good times, call my number.
Yeah, no, special shout outs to, Dustin McKibben, as always, Josh Withers, Morgan Roberts, James Kelly, Ross Eaglesham, and Ulysses Del Toro. Like, those are the people I text the most often and who help me out the most in my day-to-day life. Just coping, with everything, and having friends that I can kind of spout off to every once in a while.
Doesn't spout off to me too much because he knows I can use it as ammunition on this podcast.
True story. Yeah. So it's been really fun and good, interesting.
Awesome, Steve. Well, if you guys don't have anything going on for Thanksgiving or Turkey Day or anything for the
Steve
holidays,
at that phone number and come on over.
I could really use some extra chairs for our get together. So if you're not using them because you're not doing anything, that would be super helpful.
Yeah, if you got chairs in Wisconsin, Ohio, California, Idaho, Florida, just ship those chairs straight to Fort Wayne, Indiana, for Dustin.
Just send me the bill. But no, for real. Like, guys, have a great holiday. If you don't have anyone to celebrate with, I encourage you to reach out to your local photography community. I'm sure there's other people that are not doing stuff as well. Get together, have a Friendsgiving. Find somebody, do something. Don't be alone on the holidays. Unless you're someone who likes being alone, then by all means, be alone.
You do you.
Catch up on Red Notice.
Yeah, and if you don't live in the United States of America and you don't celebrate Thanksgiving or don't celebrate Thanksgiving at this time, just know that it's
celebrate the slaughter of Native Americans.
Magical time where you get to eat way too much food. That's really all there is to this holiday in America. You eat way too much food, and you don't think about the horrible things America has done in its past.
Spending on Black Friday.
Yeah. Look out for them deals. All right. Thanks everybody for listening to another episode of the Wedding Photo Hangover podcast. If you love the show, you know where we're at. See you guys later.
Now let me go get some gravy.
Wedding Photo Hangover was edited this week by Steve Van Elk of Bespoke Tone. Go to Bespoke Tone for all of your photo, video, and audio editing needs.